Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us here with live with Dr. Rad Mariala. Today he's going to talk about the health concerns related to the pandemic of loneliness, which is spreading in our society, and he's going to discuss the measures that we can take to help mitigate this burden in our society. So, Dr. Rad, will you get us started, please?
Hey, thanks, Jennifer. So loneliness, it's probably not something that you hear people talking about a lot. Why isn't ER talking about loneliness? I mean, you would expect that we'd be talking about other, more germane, more relevant topics. I'll explain about why loneliness is an important public health concern. And I promise in the future we'll have other topics that you may find more relevant. Our next topic is going to be about nutrition, and that'll kind of segue into our holiday themed things. Nutrition is going to be a big thing that everyone's going to be thinking about, like dieting for the holidays and what to eat. And so we will bring about, we'll have a nice topic on nutrition. We'll talk about all the big latest fads and talk about the rumors about, all the diet fads that come up.
Like butter?
Did you hear the rumor about butter?
No.
Well, I'm not going to spread it. Okay, sorry. You should come for us dropping knowledge, but we promise we'll have a joke in there, okay? So, loneliness is a public health concern. The health concerns that you probably have heard, talked about a lot in the media is smoking, obesity, sedentary lifestyles, right? And you hear a lot of people saying, hey, stop smoking, eat healthy, exercise. Loneliness is a public health concern. It's starting to get more recognition. I want to give a shout out to the former Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy. He's done a lot of work to bring recognition to this problem. So what is loneliness? Loneliness is really a subjective feeling. It's a subjective feeling that you're going through life all alone, you're facing life alone, and you're tackling life's problems by yourself. So it's a subjective feeling that you personally feel. Unlike isolation, which is an objective thing, isolation is that you are physically isolated. And we'll talk about how this has become a problem in COVID, how now that there's not just this, people are feeling lonely, but they're also isolated. And so, unlike loneliness, like I was saying, is a subjective thing. It's not objective like other health concerns, like obesity, we can measure your weight. Like hypertension, we can measure your blood pressure. Like diabetes, we can measure your glucose. There's really not an objective measurement that we can take. It's kind of a subjective feeling, but it is a subjective feeling that more and more people complain about and more people are experiencing, and it is causing greater concerns to our overall health. So, whereas unlike loneliness, isolation is objective. You're like actually isolated. You don't have means to communicate with others. So, if we think of our biology, for thousands of years, our biology, our physiology was built around us having a lot of human connections. We traveled as tribes, we lived in small, close-knit communities, and we were interdependent with each other, and there was a lot of human connection. So our modern society is different. We're separated from our families, more and more people living in small apartments, more and more cities are being planned to kind of help make it easy to live this isolated, lonely life where they're not planned for us to be interdependent. So now you can live in your apartment, you don't have to go out for anything, you can use Postmates, Uber Deliver, Uber Eats, DoorDash, all that, and not really have to leave your apartment. And that does create a growing, gnawing sense of loneliness. This lonely feeling can create a chronic stress state. And as this gets worse and more, as you experience this chronic loneliness, it starts to affect other aspects of your life. It can decrease your confidence. It can also affect other health problems, like you may be more likely to gain weight, you may be less likely to eat healthy, you may be less likely to exercise and maintain good health. So as you feel like you're not, connected to a bigger society, that you're not, there's not relationships that you're actually striving to maintain, you just kind of go farther and further down this problem. So yeah, like I was saying, it creates a stress state. Loneliness is not related to you being introverted or extroverted. Extroverted people can be the life of a party and still feel lonely. They may feel like, hey, I'm still going through life and life's problems by myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then of course with COVID, like loneliness has been a problem that's been getting worse decades in our modern society. So it was here before 2020, it was here before COVID. COVID has just kind of made it a lot worse. And there's definitely populations of our society that are more vulnerable to being lonely. And of course, this is the elderly. So Jennifer, what steps do you think people can take to combat loneliness?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, how our society has become a little more isolated, not so interconnected. I think picking up the phone and talking to your loved ones, even doing FaceTime and having deep, rich conversations, and not always having very surfacey level conversations like, how have you been, what's going on, but really ask questions like, how have you been feeling, how and then if they answer, then you can say, well, how does that compare to how you felt when the pandemic first started? And I think that that's a way to help. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Awesome. And you bring up some very good points. So the thing about loneliness, you may have a lot of people in your life, but really what matters is whether those connections are true, deep, meaningful connections.
Mm-hmm.
If they're weak connections, then you may still feel lonely. And so that brings me to social media. Social media is probably one of the big culprits as to why we feel lonely, because we have lots of social connections, but they're not very meaningful. They're fleeting, they're transitory. And so, one of the things we recommend is that you limit social media, and you limit the way you perceive and interact, and let it affect you, and actually try to make meaningful connections. Stay in touch with your family, stay in touch with your friends, and just make an effort to build deep, lasting relationships. Now, of course, a network of a squad that you can rely on is not going to fall into your lap. These are things that you have to actively cultivate and put effort into enriching your life, right? Now the thing about that is that when you are trying to, you can't go out and wear a badge saying that you're lonely, but if you are out there making, trying to make connections, there's some risks involved. Do you want to talk about some of those risks?
Yeah, I think getting out of our comfort zone is important, and I think maybe the risk of being rejected or told no can keep us not choosing to reach out. So I would just, for me, I have to remember that I have to put in the effort. I can't just sit back and hope that my phone is ringing, because a lot of us are experiencing the same thing. But also, I think scamming is
Sure.
pretty high up there.
Right. So in your efforts, you want to be careful. You want to vet, the network that you're trying to build. We don't want anybody to end up in a cult. Or worse, we don't want anybody to end up in a multi-level marketing scheme where you're selling $80 lipstick, and you got a closet full of product that you're trying to move, and you're like, how did I end up here? That's never happened to me. So at the end of the day, you have to make an effort. What has been shown to help is what we talked about earlier. You know, what the base of this is love and service. You know, you have to cultivate a feeling of love. You have to know that you are loved. You have to send out feelings of love into the world, and not feelings of fear and hate. So, and this has been studied that like this feeling of love and empathy does help us heal, and helps others heal also. The other thing that's been shown to help is service. You know, do you want to talk about examples of service, Jennifer?
Oh yeah, doing community service, volunteer, giving back to the community. If you don't have the financial means to give back, you can always give your time, and that's always very much appreciated. If you live in the Deer Park area or the Pasadena or LaPorte area, there are Rotaries that you can join. There are a lot of nonprofit organizations. The ones that I can think of at the top of my head here locally is Sarah's House, which is in Pasadena. The Wheelhouse is here in Deer Park. Also Project Joy and Hope. You can just pick up the phone, call them, and ask them what can I do to give back? What is it that you need? Especially right now during, the holidays are right around the corner. So yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you. That was a lot of fun, guys. Do you want to talk about our sponsors? We have two sponsors.
We have two sponsors, and we invite you to go visit ENS Construction. They have a Facebook page. That's E and S, and is the and symbol, and also
they're located in Deer Park.
Yeah, they're located in Deer Park, and we also have another sponsor, I Heart Nature, all natural, organic. Maybe Dr. Rad can talk a little more about it.
Look at this soap bar.
Let's smell.
Don't eat it.
It smells so good. It can be tempting to want to take a bite, but don't.
Hey, thank you guys. This has been a lot of fun. We're going to continue to do this. Please join us. It gives us a lot of encouragement. Please send in questions. Again, thanks for your time. Thanks for letting us do this. Thanks for letting us share. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.